Hey there, my name is Linda. I almost forgot who my name was or what my name was. Well, I'm pretty sure my name is Linda. I've got a lot of fun DIYs for you today. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we're going to be making some farmhouse home decor using mostly Dollar Tree supplies. So let's get started with project number 1. For this project, we're going to be using one of these boards from Dollar Tree. It is a wood plank board. It says so right on the sticker, so that's what I'm going with. We're going to use 2 of these slat boards. I believe they are 12 inches. We'll double check here in just a second. Right side up, here we go. Yep, chunky slat board, 12 inches. And we're going to use 2 of these 8-inch chunky slat boards. We're also going to be using some of these wood dice. Now we need 4 of them, so of course I think Dollar Tree does it on purpose, puts 3 to a package to make you buy 2. And then you're going to need a wood word. Dollar Tree has these home words in, and then our Walmart got these ones in. I love the lowercase of it all, and they're only $1.47, so not that much of a price difference. And then we're also going to need a wood heart. Of course, I got mine from Dollar Tree at Valentine's. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 12-inch chunky slat boards and we're going to cut them down to 11 inches. And our 8-inch chunky slat boards we're going to cut down to 7 inches. And you can use your miter box and saw for this. And then once everything was cut, I went ahead and sanded off the edges and kind of rounded them a little bit just to soften it up. And essentially what we're going to do is put all these together to make a cute little tray without too much effort. We're going to take some wood glue here. I like to put it on with my paintbrush, of course, and I'm just going to add wood glue to all the sides. We're going to work very quickly attaching our wood glue to our wood pieces because wood glue dries very quickly. Essentially, you're going to want wood glue around the sides of the bottom board, all 4 sides, and then just on the ends, both ends of the 2 longer pieces. The shorter pieces, they will attach to the other areas that have glue, so you don't need to worry about that. And then once you get your glue on, it's just a matter of getting everything into position. And once I get it there, I'm going to clamp it. If you don't have clamps, just get it together as nice and tight as you can and just let it sit for a little bit. And then once everything's dried, of course, I will remove my clamps and we're going to start working on our feet. And I'm just going to add some wood glue and get everything into position. I think I measure about a 1/4 inch in from, both sides or around our feet here. And we'll continue working and getting our little blocks on here. These are great. I've seen some great imaginative, creative decisions from crafters using these wood blocks lately, and I think they're just really, really handy. So, you might want to pick some up if your Dollar Tree gets them in, but they work great as feet. I love it. Once that's all dry, this is here what it looks like. It's ready to go, a nice, simple, put-together board or box, I believe. And then I'm just taking some DIY White Swan chalk paint. I've watered it down because I kind of want it to be a wash. Don't want it on heavy. I still will sand it a bit, but I still want it on very lightly and washed like. So I'm going to add it, all the way around, inside out, top, bottom, sideways, front ways, back ways, tilt ways. I don't know, put it everywhere in between. Once everything's complete, painted, sanded, etc., here's what our tray looks like. I already love it. So now we need to go into painting our heart, and you don't have to add a heart. You guys know I pretty much add hearts on everything, but I'm going to come around and paint my little heart here and get that ready. Using the same Debbie's Design Diary DIY White Swan chalk paint as the tray, I'm going to use this Waverly Antique Wax mixed with water, and I'm just going to kind of make a little stain onto my woodward here. And I'll do front and back because you'll see a little bit of the back of the letters if you were to turn our little tray around to the back side. So make sure we get that on. I like how it looks. I like kind of that stain look against that whitewashed tray. Right, once that's complete and dry, I'm going to use Beacon Fabri-Tac glue today, and we're going to get our little wood word on there. And I'm going to put it a little over to the right side a little bit because I want to add that heart on the left side. If you don't want to add a heart, make sure you center it a little bit. Might look a little more pleasing to the eye. We're going to place our heart to the left, of course, and I was just going to leave it white on white, and I decided I wanted to add a little bit of scrapbook paper to it. So I used another heart, and I traced it. I cut it a little bit shorter all the way around, sewed with my sewing machine. I'll show you a little bit more sewing up closer on one of the other projects today. Now I'm just taking the open end of my scissor blades and scraping along the edges, kind of roughing that up. Of course, we'll go ahead and glue this onto our wood heart. That makes this project complete, but we'll see what it all looks like with the other projects at the end of our video. With that said, let's move on to project number 2. For this project, I'm going to use a candle holder from Dollar Tree, one type of candle holder. Here's the other type of candle holder I'm going to use as well, at least the glass part. And I've got a few different little succulents here from Dollar Tree and some from Walmart. I don't know what I'm going to use at this point, but I've got a few here. And then I'm going to use one of these cone styrofoam because it's white. So whatever, styrofoam you have, but I'm going to use white with some white sand. Although I do think I change the color of the sand later. And then white or brown twine, but I will probably go with the white. And then I found this at Walmart and a little bit later, and I think I'm going to use some of this as well. It was around $4 or $5, but if you cut it up in pieces, it'll go further on your projects. Bringing out the white swan chalk paint again and a sponge brush. And then I'm just going to dab the paint on using a pouncy motion up and down to cover this candlestick. I'll do 2 coats. Little heat setting in between, and this will add a little bit of texture to our candlestick holder. This is the first coat, and we're going to come in with the second coat. If you didn't want to do this option, you could just add some of that baking powder to your sand and make it really textury. But I like to do this because it's usually a little bit of softer textured look to it versus the grittiness of adding the other. This is what it looks like. We're going to go ahead and add the glass of that other candle holder to this candle holder using some Gorilla Glue. Before I add the Gorilla Glue, I'm going to make a little mark because I've kind of twisted and turned this glass and found which way it sets more stable because it's Dollar Tree glass. It isn't quite all the way even. So I make sure I get that back into position, add our Gorilla Glue here, and get it onto the top of our candlestick. And while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and cut this white styrofoam. Now, I got this cone one because I don't have to worry about, I just need to cut it and it will fit inside that glass better, but this type of styrofoam on this is really hard to work with. It's really hard to poke the succulents and stuff into, but deal with it. I'm going to add some Beacon Fabri-Tac glue here and the white twine, and I'm going to go around the bottom here of our glass, the top of our candlestick holder, the bottom of our glass, to kind of hide all that Gorilla Glue. Okay, and I will go about 4 times around. You can go as many times around as you want. But yeah, that styrofoam, I just cut it. It's short enough around, the diameter small enough around, and then I cut it short enough so, because pretty soon here we're going to use sand to completely cover that up. And you just need enough of that styrofoam to poke the succulents into. So finishing up winding our twine all the way around. And then I've got a white twine bow here already made. We're going to add some of these beads from Dollar Tree. These are the wood bead garlands. I know they have some in bags now, but I like these wood bead ones because they're already like whitewashed. The ones in the bags are just the plain wood color, but this makes it easier. And I'm just going to kind of figure out how long I want this to hang and make a knot at the end so the bead doesn't fall off, of course, and then cut off the excess. Perfect. And then once I do that, we're going to get this glued on. Excellent. Kind of cover up where our ends meet, where we started with our twine. Now, I was going to use the white sand, but I decided to kind of go with this tan colored sand. I think I picked up at like Joann's or something instead, but you can use whatever color. I'm going to put a little sand at the bottom first, and then of course the styrofoam on top. And then we're just going to keep adding sand all the way around till we cover it up. I'll show you here what it looks like. See, can't even see the styrofoam looks nice. And yes, I'll get that little piece of styrofoam off the top because that's bugging me, and done. All right, we're going to go ahead and prepare our succulents here, deciding which colors I want to use and get those all ready, of course. End up using all of those from Dollar Tree. I'm going to go ahead and use some of these as well. They're herb succulents I got at Walmart, a little over $1, fairly cheap to use. Add some great greenery to our little planter here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some of this new hanging greenery to our little plant holder here. And I love this, but it's really sticky plastic. You have like 2 or 3 of those bunched together and you try to pull them apart, all those little ends come off. It's a mess, but it looks really cute. So now, since I cut this one apart from Walmart, this hanging succulent thing, I'm using some extra wire stem that came off of, some of the other pieces that we cut apart, using green floral tape from Dollar Tree, and just, adding the wire onto the ends of these so that it gives us a little more stability to poke into that horrible, horrible white styrofoam. So we're going to start poking that in now. Everything's ready to go. It's really hard. I kind of have to use a spatula to kind of poke it in, but, whatever. I just thought if the sand separated or something, I don't want like green styrofoam to show in there. I just kind of wanted everything white. I don't know, whatever. Getting it all, our pieces in here. I wanted, some tallness to the back, some hanging to the front. As I've said, I'm not an arranger, but, death grip on this plastic succulent, trying to get that in there. Good thing it's plastic. And just adding all my pieces so it looks as pleasing as I hope it to look. Everything in there. Get it arranged, add a little more greenery here and there. It looks better from the front, I promise. And then once I do that, I'm going to add a little more sand in here to kind of cover up some of the areas in there that might look a little funny, even though it's underneath. And then once I do that, this project is complete. So let's move on to project number 3. For this project, I'm bringing in a round sign. Y'all should have guessed I was going to bring a round sign in somewhere. I think this has the little stake on the end of it. Took that off. It's a 7-inch round diameter sign. One of our wood blocks again. I'm going to use an actual Dollar Tree ruler here. And I've already prepared one of the round circles because I have extra. Just kind of took the paper off the end there. And for the ruler, just peel these little plastic strips off. They come off easy. And I just use my miter box and saw, and I cut it down to about an 1/8-inch length. All right, again, bringing in a wood heart. Did you need to think I wouldn't bring in a wood heart? Debbie's Design Diary DIY White Swan chalk paint. And we're just going to start getting everything painted up here. Really easy projects today, but I think it looks just so gorgeous all put together. I can't wait for you to all see the kind of the final look at the end as I put it all together. I know I'm leaving you in suspense after each project and not showing you what each one looks like, set up after each one is done, but I want that ta-da at the end, right? So I'm just painting the sign all the way around, front and back, of course. Getting it all nice and pretty. And then what I'll do is bring in some scrapbook paper. Did you think I'd not use that either? Those of you who've been with me a while, I'm bringing it in. Paint our little block here. This little block is essentially going to act like our easel to make our round sign sit up easier. So before I painted the signs, the ruler and the wood circle, I traced around them, and then I cut my papers about 1/8 of an inch, maybe it was 1/4 of an inch. I can't remember. We'll see what it looks like in the end. All the way around, so a little bit of that wood perimeter shows. I just like to do that. You could cover it all the way edge to edge on both pieces, and then you wouldn't even have to, sand off any of that paper that's on the front of that one sign. But I'm taking it to the sewing machine here. I'm just using a straight stitch. I use a size 10 or 11 needle. That works best on my sewing machine, stitch length of 4. And then I just sew on my papers like it's regular fabric, nice and easy. Here I am, again, the open end of my scissor blades and scraping along the edges. And so we get a nice kind of settled texture with the sewing, and then a rustic texture, with the scraping of the scissor blades along the edges of the paper. And then on our little paper for our back of our ruler here, I've just got some of that chalk paint mixed with water and my fan brush, and I'm just tapping on some little splatters. We're going to go ahead and start gluing our paper down now. Here we go. It looks about 1/4 of an inch all the way around, right? That was the back. I like my back completely covered. And we'll get our front on here. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put this onto the front of our paper for our little ruler sign here. I'll make sure I have the fonts in my description box for you. I did make this on my Cricut. You could use any rub-on stickers or letter stickers. You could print this off on your computer before you cut your paper out for your ruler. That works well too. And then I'm going to just add this to the front. Yes, I have a big space there because, what do you think that's for? Our heart? Yes, you were correct. I cut a little bit of paper for our heart as well, and I've just, sewed along it and scraping along the edges once again. I do this for all my papers, every video. Once I started sewing and scraping, it's like if I don't do it, it looks very plain. But you don't have to sew and scrape. It looks totally cute either way. Adding that to the front of the heart, then we're just going to glue this onto our little sign here. I think that looks so pretty just like that. I love our story. And now since we're using the other side of the ruler, that ruler has that little, thing down the center, right? So I'm just adding some of these coffee stir sticks on either side of the front of the ruler just to make it lay level all the way across. And then we're going to glue that onto the front of our sign here. And then we're going to glue our little wood block at the bottom so it acts like our easel. And then once I do that, this project is complete. Let's move on to a very quick project, number 4. I'm going to use one of these signs from Dollar Tree, and I've already got one prepped, ready to go for you, and I'm just going to paint all the way around on this one. And yes, I'm actually keeping one of these signs as it is in its entirety for my own home decor because it's just super cute. But, I love these because I like they're nice and heavy, they sit upright really well, and it's just a small area to maybe revamp a little bit. So just painting all the way around. I know I'm covering up that pretty wood grain. No worries, in a later video I don't cover up the wood grain. I'll do 2 coats of this paint just to make sure everything's good. This is what it looks like. I've sanded around the edges as well, just a little light distressing. And then, of course, I've already got my paper cut to fit the center of our sign here, sewn and everything. And, of course, I have a wood heart painted, adding a little paper to that. And now my quote I did, again, off my Cricut machine. But, I always say stickers, letter stickers, rub-ons. You could print something from a Word program on your computer onto your paper and then cut your paper out to fit your project. And we're going to go ahead and glue that on to the front. We're going to go ahead and glue our wood heart right below there. So this heart will match the heart on another sign. Gorilla Glue here, and I'm going to add a little knob to the top of our sign just to give it a little fun personality. And then once I do that, get it measured correctly in the center, this project is complete. So let's move on to our last project, number 5. For this project, I got this at Valentine's, and if you don't have that, a couple pieces of those chunky slat boards, you can cut one a little longer, one a little shorter, don't even need the heart on top. I'm going to use these little dog nail clippers from Dollar Tree to kind of clip off that little dowel there, and then I'll use my electric sander to sand the paper and stuff off, and it's ready to go. Of course, I'm going to paint everything. I'm going to use one of these love words from Dollar Tree. I've got my papers cut out, although that little shorter piece I end up using a different design later, decide I don't like it. Everything's sewn and ready to go. So again, we're coming in with the open end of our scissor blades and scraping it. I'll show you what it looks like here. I just like that look. So if you like it, that's what you got to do. And then taking my watered down paint here, I always tap off the excess of my fan brush, dip it in the paint, tap off the excess, and then tap the fan brush to add little splatters. And then we'll go ahead and come in and paint our wood piece here. I'll do a couple of coats here so it's all nice and covered up really pretty. And then I'll go ahead and paint the woodward as well. Yeah, Dollar Tree just came out with these nice woodwards. I think they are just as nice quality as you find at Hobby Lobby. They're nice and thick, so they're going to hold up really well. And I love using, love using woodwards. I just think it adds great dimension. All right, so we're going to move on here to our block. I've got it all sanded and distressed, but remember the original block, you can almost see it here a little bit. Kind of had that definitive line there to separate like it's a top and bottom piece of wood put together. I'm going to use this wood carving set. You don't really need to. You can use a craft knife, but I want to see how sharp these are. And a ruler and just kind of make a line here, and they are very sharp. And then I'm going to take some sandpaper here and just kind of distress right over that line to soften it up a bit and make it look like 2 pieces of wood put together. I think that looks great. So we'll go ahead and start adding our paper on here. Now you'll see that I have changed the top design on my paper, although you might have already forgotten about it by now, but here it is changed. And then I decided to add another heart here because, things look good in odd numbers, right? And I already added a heart to 2 of my other projects, so now we'll have 3 hearts amidst our ensemble today. And then I'm adding lives here to the right side of our paper here. Again, you can print this out. Of course, you can use letter stickers here or write it on if you've got beautiful handwriting. We'll go ahead and glue this down. And I added it over to the right side because we'll add that little wood heart over to the left. I decided to go ahead and also add paper to the wood heart. I was just going to leave it plain, white, but again, decided to add some paper to it. Look naked. And we'll glue that over here to the left side. I like it. And then we're going to go ahead and glue on our woodward here. I've got it marked where, it's going, because it's going to hang off the edge a little bit. So I marked it where, the edges are going to be seen. That's why it's not completely painted around. Yeah. I'm going to just let that overlap a little bit. I think that looks great. Now, you could leave this just like it is, but I want to add a little personality to it. I find these in the scrapbooking section. You can use actual little knobs, and I'm just going to glue it onto the front of the heart, and that makes this project complete. So I hope you like what you saw here today. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which project was your favorite. Please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel to grow. And if you kind of wandered in here and you're just checking things out and you really dig what you saw here today, before you click off, make sure you hit that red subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on a single video from me. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with a lengthy but final thought. I want to start by telling you a little of my story, hopefully. 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I went in for a female exam, and my doctor thought she saw a cyst, but a few nights later at 7:00 p.m., I get the call. I'll never forget my husband watching me as I'm talking on the phone, wondering what it's all about, and it only takes a second before he jumps up to my side. I'm diagnosed with cervical cancer. My oncologist is perplexed because it's a rare form of cancer she doesn't often see. So I do some tests with the genealogical center. It comes back as hereditary Lynch syndrome. And at that time, Lynch syndrome wasn't so prevalent. I have my surgery, during which the doctor also finds cervical cancer. And on a side note, I'm adopted, so every medical thing I inherit comes as a surprise. It keeps my life interesting. They get all the cancer, but my doctor assembles a team of doctors throughout the Pacific Northwest to decide how to proceed with this newly diagnosed Lynch syndrome as far as chemo and radiation are concerned, because come to find out, this isn't the end of it all. Now let's go back a bit. Soon after I'm diagnosed, I'm in church, as I always am on a Sunday, and the pastor is giving a sermon. And he stops and goes off the beaten path and delivers a scripture, staring straight at me, eyes never blinking. And then, as if snapped back into reality, says, I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but I'm betting it's for someone here. It was for me. God said, the Egyptians you see today, you will see no more. Just like in that scripture in the book of Exodus, chapter 13:13, when Moses is taking the Israelites to safety, the Egyptians are following. The sea is parted. The Israelites move safely through, but when the Egyptians try to follow after, the sea is brought together again, and the Egyptians were lost and seen no more. But my story doesn't end there. Because of this Lynch syndrome, I have increased risk of cancer in other places, so every year I run a few tests: colonoscopy, endoscopy, MRI, bladder. Every year, because I'm human, I get a little scared to hear results and wonder if I heard God correctly. Well, last year, an MRI test result came back with a rare cancer spot found in the head of my pancreas. So doubt creeps in, but that doesn't stop God. 3 months later, after an endoscopy ultrasound, followed another 3 months after that with another MRI, that rare cancer is gone. My God continues with his promise, and I am forever in his debt. I'm sharing this with you all because I believe my path has a purpose, possibly for you in this moment. Every year I have to choose to believe with faith and give my heart in faith that Jesus would do what he said he would do. Whatever you are going through, Jesus is interested in you. You may be feeling you are too weak to get through this. Jesus wants to help you through this weakness. You may feel that your valley of pain seems to last forever and keeps resurfacing, and you're hoping for a small ray of sunshine to penetrate, if only for a second. Jesus is your healing, your hope, your future, your sunshine. His love will rescue you up out of this and into his presence. Turn to Jesus and choose Him first, and He will do the rest. He will lift you into the arms of your Savior. Choose to surrender and trust Him and give Him all of your heart with whatever you're going through. Giving Him only part of your heart would have been like me only giving Him part of my cancer. Instead, I gave Him all of it. He doesn't want to heal part of you. He wants to heal all of you. I really hope that my story helps your faith and trust grow in with whatever you are facing. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.